Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. This is episode 284, recording on December 6th, 2018, getting ready to close out the year here. You're watching it on the 7th or later, and I, as always, am Mike Byrne, aka Magic Man, your host for today, to talk about some competition for Steam, maybe. Some PvP games getting PvE? Wait, what? Huh? And please tell me that we're wrong about this. Daybreak, please tell me we're wrong. Joining me to chat, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir? Mr. Jason Winter?
Okay, you just froze up on me for a while there. Sorry.
Oh, all right.
Oh, good. That was okay. I thought that was me.
Okay, good. All right.
How are you, sir?
I'm okay, I guess. I'm just confused now.
Also on the line, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
I'm so glad that wasn't me. And it was you.
It's Mike's internet this time.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, everybody on my screen is moving, and I can see them moving. Why is he not talking? I don't know what's going on. I can see him moving, like I'm looking and I see Jason. And nothing's being said. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
I was just hoping you got a really long intro there. Come on.
Vamp! Play me off, Jason. All right, here we go. Let's slide over. Just get started with the news. Best opening ever. All right, so first up, the big news this week is Steam, the digital distribution platform for gaming, brought to you by the team at Valve, might be getting a little competition. And I know everybody's first thing is, they already have competition. All right, fine. Yes, we acknowledge GOG, Green Man Gaming, other distribution platforms, fine. But saying that they are competitors to Steam, I think, is a lot like, as much as I hate the Patriots, Jason, looking back over the past 15 years of the Patriots and saying, yeah, technically they had 31 competitors, but none of them was any real competition. Q, that's a sports ball reference for you, just so we catch you up here. That's a sports ball thing.
Right. Yeah, I know who those people are. Didn't they refuse to go to the White House or something like that?
I'm sure.
Everybody's doing that.
That's just trendy, I guess, in most cases. But I think this one could be, and we're big emphasis on could be, a bit different for one very, very, very big reason, and then some other reasons that I think spice up the pot a little bit. So, Jason, we're going to go to you first and get your thoughts here. So, Epic Games is now getting in on the distribution with the Epic Games Store, and initially they're going to start rolling this out next year, and it will be PC games, and then Android's going to go over there. It's pretty limited list right now, they're saying. It's like hand-curated, so I would imagine the list is pretty small, but then it's probably going to blow up a bit in 2019. But there's some big key reasons, particularly dollar reasons, why this might put a little bit of a crimp on Steam.
So, of course, the big thing that everyone's talking about is that they're going to have an 88-12 revenue split. The companies, the developers will keep 88% of the revenue, 12% goes to Epic, and additionally, if you're using Unreal Engine, which you normally have to pay an extra 5% to Epic for, they'll waive that, so it'll just be the 12, won't be like 17. And this comes counter to Steam, which just like last week announced they were doing a different split for bigger games, going up to 80-20 if you're a really big game, and like 75-25 for the $10 to $50 million ones, 70-30 for everyone else. So they at least are trying to get the bigger games back on their platform, which they've had issues with.
Yeah.
With Fallout 76 being a recent one. What's another big one?
Well, to be fair, I think Fallout 76 has its own set of reasons.
It has its own issues,
I think Bethesda didn't want that on Steam right away.
Sure.
Probably having to do with Steam's refund policy, if I was being just ultra cynical. But I think there might be other factors. But you're all right. There are some bigger names that have gone missing from Steam over the last few years. free to play or not. And yeah, I think the revenue split that Valve announced, hey, that's great, 80-20 split. But you have to be making $50 million or more to hit that that split. That is relatively few titles when you look at the hundreds that come out on Steam every frickin' day. Every frickin' day. Most people are falling in that the smallest bracket, making less than 10 million. They're giving up 30% of their revenue to Valve.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big cut.
Like 6 players online at once. You know, they can.
That's a pretty big cut. Q, what did you think when you saw the initial announcement? Was this just, oh God, right? Come on, Epic. What are you doing? Just do your games. Or did you sit and think, hey, maybe there could be something here? What was your gut reaction on this one?
Basically just, oh.
Didn't do anything for you, huh?
I mean, it's one of those things. I think competition is good for everybody. The numbers sound nice, but I'm kind of wondering, like how they came up with that amount and determined that, okay, we can afford to do this, because normally these splits, I mean, they're designed for the host company to be the ones, you know, like there has to be something in it for you to be hosting all of this and all of that jazz. So I'm kind of wondering how they came up.
12% of the revenue.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you consider 12% of the revenue and how much of that is actually going to end up being a cost for them on, you know, the server hosting and all of that jazz, whatever else is entailed in running this kind of business, you know, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like to use a digital, like in the restaurant world, when you're determining how much to charge for an item, you basically total up like what it cost you to make a dish, and then you triple that so that you can cover things like electricity and whatever other
employee wages, and all that stuff,
and still make a profit. So if the other companies are doing it and say they have a higher rate and they've been doing it for longer, and it's like you're just coming into this, but you're like, but we're going to charge you less, you kind of wonder where they came up with the numbers for it.
Yeah, and I think, Jason, there are other sweeteners to the pot. Obviously, the revenue is a big one, particularly if you're using Unreal Engine 4 or Unity. Then it just further sweetens that revenue pot for you. But they are adding a few other things in there as well. On the developer side of things, you can sign players up automatically for your specific game's newsletter. I don't know how much I like that, being the customer, but developer-wise, there's certainly some value to that. There's going to be, reportedly, although we haven't seen it in action, easier ways to connect with YouTube and Twitch streamers, which we're seeing Steam over the years kind of cater stuff like that with the curator programs and things like that, and the big influencers, and greater control over the ads. I think this is actually a pretty big one if I'm a developer, such as no competing ads on your damn game's page, which does happen on the Steam platform.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of things that would make developers want to go here. Another one you would think about, well, two that you would think about are the fact that it's going to be smaller at first, obviously, so less issues with discoverability. You're not going to have the 20,000 or so games, like you said, 100 games every day, so easier to see your games. And the second part, of course, being, you know, who logs into the Epic Game Launcher now?
Right, and we've been putting that piece of the whole sales puzzle off to the side for a minute. We haven't mentioned it. But yeah, there is I think you're going to have a hard time moving well-established games over. And I would imagine there would be some type of no-compete or rules against being on Steam and some other platforms for some things at certain times and things like that. I think we'll start seeing, if this took off, I think now we start seeing more exclusivity deals. Like we do on the consoles. This is only available on Epic Games. But the big catch here, Jason, and you spilled the beans on it, is Fortnite. You have, fine, there's 5 games on this platform to begin with, But every time somebody boots up Fortnite, they see your game. And that's hard to put a dollar amount on when you want to get your game in front of eyeballs.
Yeah, and as much as now that said, here's something else to think about though: is that there are currently like 15 million people using Steam at the moment, and Fortnite has had what, like, do they have 15 million people playing at one time? So probably something like that. So yeah, that is something. But as we would mention before, though, like you said, so a little bit, the inertia of Steam is going to be tough, I think, for a lot of people to go over from, even with that large fan base. Many of which, you know, who knows how many of them will also stick with Fortnite or want to try something new. So I think it's a good thing, but I don't think it's necessarily a slam dunk.
I don't either. I think it definitely, Q, has the potential to be bigger than GOG or Green Man, which, to be fair, their audiences aren't anything to sneeze at. They have sizable audiences. They just aren't Steam. You know, they just aren't competition for Steam in the way of really, really hurting their business. They are competition in that they are a digital distribution platform. I think this could be bigger than those. I think it's going to be a slow burn situation, though. I don't expect this to be a competitor next year. I see more newer titles going to it to test the waters, and depending on how those titles do on that platform, it could open the floodgates further down the road.
I think the other thing you have to look at with GOG and Green Man too, well, I'm not so sure on Green Man anymore because I quit using them, but GOG pretty much relies on Steam. You buy the key on GOG, but then you plug it into Steam.
Yeah.
To use it most of the time, not all the time, but I mean there was a relationship there, so it's not like we're competing and we're trying to put Steam out of business. You buy your game on GOG because you want the DRM free or the deal or whatever it is they got going on. But I mean, every game I've ever bought on GOG, I've plugged into Steam.
Same thing with most Humble Bundles. You know, all those types of things are Steam key related. Now, Humble Bundle being a bad example because it's not always Steam key related, and even GOG isn't always Steam key related. But there are so many other partnerships that Steam has that aren't just Steam and me as the client, Jason, that it does pose a challenge getting into that market.
Yeah, like it's just in general though. Like suppose like Elder Scrolls 6 comes out or whatever, whenever that comes out. It comes out. Say it comes out on both platforms. If it doesn't have that exclusivity, how many people are going to go to Steam to buy it, and how many are going to go to the Epic Game Store to buy it?
Or how many people are just going to get it through the Bethesda launcher?
Well, nobody does that though. But anyway, but so that's the thing. Is like I'm seeing all these great incentives for developers. I'm seeing lots of developers. I even talked a little bit with Scott Hartzman on Twitter about it. So this looks great for developers, but what about players?
Yeah.
What do players want? So
yeah, I don't want signed up automatically for every game's newsletter that I buy on the platform. I don't. Yeah. I just don't. And to be fair, let's look at the other side of this. Somebody big, Epic, coming into this foray. Okay, fine. They have an advantage big. I would have attributed Electronic Arts to have that same type of big name power title advantage, and look at how well EA Origin does.
Yeah, it's not really in the same market.
Yeah, it's not a slam dunk by any stretch of the imagination, but there is potential here, I think.
And there's one thing I learned just now as we were doing this. I clicked on another article. Do you know who's actually behind this? You know who the director of publishing is for the Epic Game Store?
Gabe Newell.
No.
No, that would have been like an M. Night Shyamalan twist right there.
Sergey Galonkin, who, if you don't recognize that name, he is the guy who did Steam Spy.
Wow, that is interesting.
I knew he was working for Epic. I knew he'd been hired by them.
That is interesting.
But I didn't know that he was actually going to be. He's in charge of that thing. It looks like, because I'm reading an interview with him right now, and he says, "I've learned a lot about how games are tracking week over week, how effective are sales. Not as much as people think. Exposure is more important, and more importantly, I got to talk to hundreds of developers to learn what they want from a digital store and what they like, and what they don't like about existing ones." So
the thing that I don't like that isn't in that sentence is, Jason, the point you just made.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to customers.
I mean, he does talk to customers.
I talked to developers.
Most of this interview I'm reading with him is about his relationship with developers. So yeah, there's that. So.
Ooh, what a twist. Yeah. What a twist.
Remember back in like April, I think, when Steam changed their algorithms to and it messed with things like Steam Spy.
Yeah.
Wonder if that's when he said, "Hey guys, why don't we just do this instead?"
Right.
You wonder if maybe that's got something.
We
to do
have
with
the
it.
data. We have the technology. We can rebuild it. It'll be faster, stronger. We'll have to see. I mean, this is going to be, I think, a really slow burn. We won't know more about this until, like, a year or two down the line as far as competition, but we'll definitely be watching it roll things out. If you had to pick the free-to-play title that needs to be there first, so we could close this all up with a free-to-play slant to it, Q, what currently on the market or in large-scale testing free-to-play game needs to be on this platform first? Who should be the one to take the plunge?
Oh, God, I wasn't even prepared for this question.
We're a free-to-play website!
Well, yeah, but I just...
Jason, do you got one?
Yeah.
I'd say wargaming should go there. They're about as big as
Of course
it
it would.
gets. Because like the other big one, I think of obviously Fortnite, and then obviously something like Dota 2.
It's already there.
Well, yeah, Fortnite's going to already be there. Dota 2 is not going there.
Obviously. I mean, after that, you really get down to, I think like the wargames, the World of Tanks.
I'm going to go with Warframe. I think Warframe jumps right on it. Warframe Digital Extremes is really good at just jumping to the next platform. I mean, they just got the Switch launch, so they've got their consoles covered now. Great. Yep, let's get it on Epic Games Store. More eyeballs. Let's cash in on the Fortnite eyeballs. I think those bigger games right now that are really lacking new advertising options, like where do you advertise Warframe anymore to like get a big splash? Mm-hmm. When you put it on the Switch, great, you got it in front of Switch players' eyeballs, but then that peters out and plateaus. Where do you go? I think games like that are seriously well established, that are multi-platform now, that are running out of options as far as getting the game in front of brand new eyeballs. Hey, this is great. Hey, there's X million people logging into Epic's launcher. Let's get an ad up on there and get 88% of the revenue while we're at it. So those big games. All right, let's slide over and get started. Speaking of wargaming type games here, because we are going to talk wargaming in a second on this topic. Crossout, if you forgot about Crossout, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, I pretty much have.
And that's funny because Jason, you were hyped about this one initially when it came out. You're very Mad Max, build your own vehicle. There were some things that you and I did not like about it when we finally got our hands on it. Some things we did like, but the vehicular combat game from Gaijin Entertainment and Targum Games is now getting a story mode. They're calling it an adventure mode, but it's a story mode. There's a campaign, side quests. You can do it with your friends. We do it solo. That's not what this game was made for, though, right, Jason? That's like putting a story mode in my World of Warships.
They have that in the tank games. I think both World of Tanks and Armored Warfare have their own little story mode things, too, so...
Yeah, but also, to be fair, Armored Warfare was in it when it launched, though.
That's true. Yeah, sure.
Crossout's been out for, feels like forever now.
A year and a half, yeah.
And now all of a sudden we're getting a story mode that's in beta. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I don't play Crossout enough to know. And hell, I'm not going to frown on new things to do in any game. I just think it's a little weird and maybe a little late.
I mean, yeah, one of the things that I complained about when I first played it was it just wasn't enough variety there. It's like I just go in arena, battle each other, and then come back out 2 minutes later. So maybe this adds a little bit more. Maybe it adds a lot. And that's, of course, the issue with any sort of like PvE campaign mode or whatever. It's like, am I going to get through it in 3 hours and then be done? Or afterwards, I just grind out the same dungeons or whatever, adventures or whatever over and over. If this is like a full MMO where it'd be like, level 1 to 50 kind of experience, it's going to take you weeks or months, then sure, but I don't know that I feel like they have the
I don't think
the
it's
budget and the staff
that.
to really put in something that big.
No, I mean, the way they're talking about it, it even takes place on one map right now. A large 16 square kilometer map with enemies scaled based on the power of your vehicle. So it seems like while the quests and side quests and events may differ, it's constantly dropping you on the same map and then redoing the enemies to scale to your vehicle's power level. I don't know. I feel like it's more in line with what you're saying, that type of grindy, repetitive thing.
Which would fit Crossout because it's grindy and repetitive.
Right, but that's what the game already was grindy and repetitive PvP, just like World of War Tanks, World of Warships, World of Warplanes.
I played both, and Crossout is worse. So, yeah.
Q, does this make you, as a not Crossout player, even remotely interested in jumping in? Like, does this excite anybody? Like, Crossout players, I think, would just sit there and kind of go, okay, that's cool, something else to do. But does a non-Crossout player that's maybe on the fence about, that looks kind of, oh, now they have an adventure mode, let me get in there. I don't know who this is marketed for.
I think it's probably just kind of like the the adventure modes that they put into Smite occasionally for their different things, right? Like, it's just something that you can do for a while, and although with theirs it goes away.
Yeah.
You know, with Smites, it's in there for a little bit. You do the stuff, you get the rewards, it goes away, and it's replaced with some other, mode that you can do. But like, if you're looking for new players based on a little bit of a story mode, like, the only people that story modes attract are people who want to play stories, and once that's done, you're gone. So I don't see it attracting anybody new. I think it's just probably some players were maybe getting bored and they decided to try something else.
Yeah, and I don't mean to disparage new content in any game. Fine, great. New stuff for Crossout players to do. Fantastic. If you're a Crossout player, great. You got something else to do besides doing X. Now you can do X or Y. Great. That's a great thing for you. I'm just looking at it more from the, who's this for? Like, if you were playing Crossout, you didn't need this to continue playing Crossout. And if you don't play Crossout now, I don't think this is going to get you to play Crossout. And then I started thinking about it in terms of other games, Jason, like the Worlds of Warships of the world. And I was like, it didn't do it for me in those games, and this sounds like the same thing. Hey, more power to Crossout players, I guess.
The only point I'll give in something like World of Warships is like when they do their PvE adventure things, like they did the Halloween thing a little while ago.
Yeah. Which
has this Halloween, and there's got these spooky-looking ships, and you're fighting ghosts and whatever. I could see that being something that could get someone who isn't into warships going, hey, that looks kind of neat. This, they didn't, I don't know, they just didn't give it that kind of flavor from what I can tell. It's not like you're fighting against the great evil regime, so come join us or whatever. Maybe it's in there, maybe it's, if I dig deep, I could find out what the adventure is about, but they should have probably done at least a little bit more on that front.
Agree. Right now, you can only access this right now. It's still closed beta. If you bought the wholesale recall pack that Crossout sells, you can go to the site and sign up and maybe get in there. But when we wrote this, the link wasn't working for that, and it still isn't working for that. So just go to their to their page.
IGN PR.
Right. And if you've played it, let us know. Like, is it decent? Is it something that you can bang out in an hour and a half and then just becomes a grindy mess that isn't PvP? In which case, you, as a Crossout player, would probably go grind that out in PvP because that's what you do. Let us know if you've played it. Put it in the comments below here. Before we move on to our final news story, though, speaking of, like, money and prices and deals and trying to get new people back into the game and who is this marketed to, a question I literally just asked, Dungeons & Dragons Online is doing a season pass. And I'm just going to let that sentence sink in for a second before we go any further. Okay. A season pass. Yeah, not here's a bundle and a new, founders packs and that type of, no, it's a season pass. Just like, your Fortnites of the world and things like that. Okay. So, here's the details. And Jason, you're going to have to break this down for me because I can't tell if this is a good deal or not. I just can't. And I'm like, if I was really into DDO and I still played it every day with a group of friends, would this be a good deal for me or not? I can't tell. If I was interested in DDO and I wanted to jump in, is this a good deal for me or not? I don't know. I don't think so on that side, but And you also have the lifetime thing for this, don't you? Isn't this one of the games that you got it as a press thing years ago?
Yeah, they did. I played it like twice. So yeah.
Okay, so it's $299, and apparently a season in DDO lasts 2 years.
They're very slow at going around their sun in Greyhawk or whatever it is. I don't remember. Oh, no, Eberron. That's right, Eberron.
Fortnite's what, a couple of months. DDO much slower.
Yeah, no. Let's just take that for a moment. The fact that a season, any game that has a season pass, I guess some of them go like a year, like some of it, but normally it's like 2-3 months. Yeah,
2 years long. $300.
6 months on the outside, I think.
Right.
Like two seasons a year.
I love it. For your price, your $300 price tag, which if you did the math, that's about $12.50 USD a month. So basically the price of most subs for MMORPGs. You do get all the traditional already existing VIP perks, 500 DDO points per month, bonus experience, and the usual VIP only stuff. Except one notable thing. We'll come back to that in a second. However, once the season pass expires in 2021, you'll get to keep.
Planning, man.
You do get to keep all of that content. So it's a bit different than some of their other VIP things, in that once you stop paying, you don't get that stuff anymore. You still get to keep like your armor, your VIP only content, things like that. You do get a daily free gold die roll, the Silver Dragon set, Heroic Autos box, which is almost 5,000 DDO points. So yeah, I don't know. Jason, break this down. Does this even make remote sense to buy? Because if you're going to buy it, by the way, you got to act now.
Yeah, you got to
now. There's only 1,000 of these available.
Oh, that too, yeah. It's
Which
such
is
a great deal. There's only 1,000.
There's only 1,000 of these. I look at Q's face. It's just amazingly priceless. Yes, Q, there are only 1,000 of these available. Act now supplies are limited because we only had enough room to make a code for 1,000 of these. We can't possibly make more of these. They're very limited edition.
The code is just a 3-digit number.
Right.
That's
Jason, break this down to me as somebody that's actually played DDO a bit.
So let's take the parts of this. If you want to subscribe, the best current like VIP subscription perk. Well, it's so little, I'm barely in mine. Okay. The best thing you can do is buy a year for $99, full year. You can buy like a month at a time.
So that's like their VIP sub.
That's their that's their
and the cheapest way for me to get it for a year, right?
Right. Cheapest long-term way to get it. So $100, 2 years is $200. The autos boxing that they give you, which is another 5,000 points. 5,000 points go for $50.
Yeah, it's a point a penny, pretty much, in DDO
basically,
store.
Yeah. So you're looking at $250 for just that stuff, basically.
Okay.
Now, for your extra $50, you get a piece of armor. You get the extra gold rolls, and then after it's done, you get to keep all the whatever content you had before, or whatever content came out during that. Except for that one thing.
Oh, that's cool. Well, that's cool because in 2 years, I assume they're going to have one expansion, maybe two. And so I'd get to keep that stuff. That's not bad, right? Because I'm getting that for the $50 left over. As long as I'm. Wait, what are you shaking your head no for?
No, you don't get expansions with this.
Oh my god.
Expansions are not included.
And if you could tell, I didn't just volley the shit out of that for Jason to spike it. Expansions excluded. That is really weird for me.
Like for $50, so basically for $50, you're paying for a suit of cosmetics, some bonus loot, the bonus loot you get from the gold rolls, and if you choose not to sub after, you still get your stuff. But if you're paying $300 for this, you're a lifetime person anyway. You're in there for the long haul anyway. So it's like, I don't know.
Q, this doesn't seem like it's aimed at anybody once again.
Question, how much are the expansions? They are not free, right? So how much are they normally for DDO?
I know Lotro expansions usually go for like 40 or so I would imagine DDO is like in that same vicinity.
Well, let's take a look.
All right, fine. Maybe look shit up, but you could have done this while
I was already typing while you were talking, damn it.
Q could have looked it up, but no, she's gonna make us check it.
So right on their Steam page, like the Menace of the Underdark is 30. The Menace of the Underdark expansion is $35. The Catacomb starter pack, that's just extra stuff. So yeah, the most recent one is the Menace of the Underdark, so that is $34.99. Shadowfell Conspiracies, $30. So anywhere from, let's say, $25 to $35 for an expansion. And I don't know their schedule off the top of my head, but I seem to think that in 2 years they'd probably have 2, Jason, something like that. Maybe one.
One or two.
Yeah, it's not one of those games that has a new expansion every 3 months or 6 months. They would have like 1 to 2 in a 2-year period. Couldn't throw it in.
Why
is
this not included as part of the deal?
I don't know. Then
it would make it a good, then it would make it a reasonably good deal. You get all the other stuff that you're paying for. Well,
I don't know if an expansion even saves this one for me.
If you get 2 expansions and the expansions are like $35 a pop, then at that point you're actually, under the price of what you would be paying. If you got an expansion a year plus all the other stuff.
I see what you're saying. Is that at least dollar-wise it evens out. I'm just
a little bit under.
Yeah, like $15 under.
Smidge under.
Yeah, smidge under, but I'm giving you all the money in advance. And that's the other question I have for you guys. Like, if Final Fantasy XIV offered me something like this, like some type of huge package for $200 or $300, and here's all the things, and let's assume that dollar-wise it was at least, like Q saying, hey, I save $15, I'm okay with that. I like all the stuff that's in it. As a Final Fantasy XIV fan, I am interested in this. $200-$300 thing for 2 years. I probably look at that very differently than I do with DDO for one really big reason. I don't have any reason to believe that Final Fantasy XIV won't be around 2 years from now.
That is a good point.
I think it is fair to say that there is a chance, no matter how small, that DDO might not be around 2 years from now.
You know what, though? If they actually sold enough of these...
There's only 1,000, Q.
Right. Well, that's the thing, right? Like they're kind of setting themselves up for failure by limiting it, because if they could get enough people to buy them, then they'd just be set for the next 2 or 3 years and wouldn't have to worry about it.
I get the feeling if they sold,
magically find more.
Yeah, right.
In a warehouse.
Hey, we were cleaning out Jimmy's desk, and in the drawer we found 200 more of these things. Oh my God, they're just randomly available. That would be, so if they sold these all, Jason, and we're definitely going to watch to see, I can't wait to see the forum post. Sorry, guys, these are unavailable, right? Because I don't think there's a chance in hell we're going to see that post.
You know what, and to even be a more specific kind of, even more specific to this, if they'd have the same deal for Lotro when I was into it, 8-9 years ago, I wouldn't have done it. Because, first of all, I don't remember what it was when it first came out. It was either $200 or $300, the lifetime sub. Both DDO and Lotro offered them.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but the thing is, at that point, I was thinking in terms of, okay, lifetime, $15 a month. I think it was $200 when it first came out. I think that was it, because I remember doing the math.
Yeah, I think they were $199.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, so after 18, 19 months, it'll start paying for itself. And I thought about that, because I think, okay, after that long, it's going to be maybe worth it and so on. This, like I said, doesn't even last the 2 years. It's not even worth that kind of value. No. So, yeah, they either need to add more or cut the cost.
This is really just odd for me.
Yeah.
And for this particular game, too. Do you remember? Here's another comparison. People were pissed about being locked into World of Warcraft for a year for the Diablo purchase. Remember that? Nobody wanted to be locked into World of Warcraft for a year to get Diablo for free.
What it could be.
And that was World of Warcraft. Who wants to be locked into DDO for 2 years?
Well, I've often said this about EverQuest. I'm like, the people who are playing EverQuest,
they're not going anywhere.
No, but the point is, they're going to keep playing EverQuest until it is gone. That's probably who's left playing DDO now. People who are going to be there forever.
Exactly. The Crossout players that that don't care that there's an adventure mode. For 2
years, is what I'm saying. So yeah.
But to be fair, on the Diablo/WoW thing, like not every Diablo player is a WoW player.
Just don't buy that bundle. Just don't buy that bundle. Oh, well. This is a really odd bundle for me. Just really odd. And I've dabbled in DDO, but I wouldn't even remotely consider this if I was a DDO everyday player right now. So if you're a DDO everyday or let's go with every month player even. Please tell me why I'm totally off base and this is not an absolutely ridiculously silly offering for DDO. Before we move over and go to the weekly bombs here, Planetside 2. Yes, Daybreak's title, Planetside 2. We actually have news for you on that game. Well, maybe not that game. Because they did file for a trademark for Planetside Arena, and kudos to Massively OP on the story. That was our source for this one. And I think everybody kind of went, oh god, the name Arena's in it. Are we getting a Planetside Battle Royale, Jason?
Maybe, maybe not, because as I mentioned, Daybreak registers a lot of trademarks and doesn't do anything with a lot of them.
That they do. And I got to be honest, Q, when I heard Arena, I didn't personally automatically, a lot of people did go to Battle Royale, but when I hear Arena, I don't automatically go to Battle Royale. I go to, like, you know, Unreal and those types of arena-style games. I didn't jump straight to Battle Royale. MOBA. I would
tell MOBA.
Well, usually MOBA in the broad sense. In the broad sense,
yeah. Yeah. Well, it could mean nothing. Like, Jason, you just pointed out, one of their damn patents or trademarks a while ago was Planetside King of the Hill, which we don't even need to get into how ridiculous that would have been with H1Z1 King of the Hill and Daybreak and Planetside King of... That, I immediately would have been like, ah, shit, it's a Planetside Battle Royale. Damn it.
Something else that just occurred to me, they wouldn't, because they tried and kind of failed with the H1Z1 esports league.
Yeah.
What if this is the Planetside esports league, Planetside Arena? Get in the Planetside Arena.
Bum bum bum.
Maybe.
Don't think you're getting paid though. Moving on, let's go to the weekly bombs. Jason, you're up.
I'm gonna give a dub bomb. Did you guys hear? The canvas shortage is over. It's so wonderful. That was why Bethesda said they couldn't mail out the bags for Fallout 76. There was a canvas shortage.
Well, that was after their PR people that they hired to represent them to deal with customers said it was too expensive and we have no intention of doing anything about it. Now Bethesda says, oh, wait, yeah, actually we do. Because we don't want to get sued.
After they talked about the canvas shortage, which apparently has been it's gone now. We've got canvas again. It's great. It's wonderful. Congratulations to all the canvas makers or whatever of the world. Good for them.
It's because you have to wait a long time to raise the canvases before you're allowed to shear them and then make the bags out of them. So there was just like a delay. We weren't growing as many canvi as we needed.
Canvi.
Go ahead,
I'm sure the military is glad to hear about the end of the canvas shortage.
Right? Everything they make and carry is canvas.
Oh, Q, I'm sorry. I didn't even see what your bomb was. So I'm...
Oh, no. It's fine because mine's not related to the canvas shortage.
Sure.
Mine is
Q, it's the great canvas shortage of 2018. We have to segregate it from the other canvas shortages that we've had.
We've had others?
Wow, clearly you don't know your history.
Yeah, back
I do not know my textile history.
Nope, you do not.
Yes, so I'm giving an A-bomb to Bethesda for whatever the fuck they did to the game when they updated it this week.
What you mean it's working less?
It's working less. There's like whole lists on Reddit of things that are wrong now, and like they either buffed enemies like to hell and back, or they nerfed the crap out of people. And like I went to log in 2 days ago for Justin and me to play, and I up until this point I had no trouble logging into the game. And then suddenly I just can't load in. And by the time I do get loaded in, one of their big nuclear dragon things is flying over my head, just bombing the crap out of me, and I'm dead. And I have to wait for myself to respawn, which is another load. And by the time I load, I'm dead. Like there's so many problems that people are having right now, and it's just it's crazy ridiculousness. It's like they don't know what to do with the game.
And then they like expose credit card info or something. I've read about that too.
Well, from what I saw, apparently it's not credit card info, but it is necessarily credit card info. It is personal info, and it seems like it's tied to if you sent in tickets. And like your information is being shared between the people that are sending in tickets or something. I didn't read the entire thing, but that's kind of like the gist I got out of it, was this weird, like, it's tied to the tickets that people have sent in.
Mike, before we get to you, I just want to jump in.
Don't you dare complain to us or ask for our help, because then we're going to leak your personal information.
There you go. Let me just say, I just for the hell of it, I did a Google search for canvas shortage. And you know your history, people, because the December 1917 issue of the Marine Review, there's an ad, and the headline says, "Winter weather protection for boats and equipment. Laying up time is at hand. Thousands upon thousands of canvas covers will be put into use, but the value of the service they render will be in direct proportion to their ability to repel moisture. With the present canvas shortage, and with prices at their present high level, there will be a widespread endeavor to get at least another season's use from old canvas covers. And use preserver will make this possible." So
it's like, you have to map out for paper, right? You harvest the trees, plant trees. These ones grow. These ones are ready for harvesting to make paper. Well, if you don't do that with your canvas crop, that's what happens.
Well, notice this was December 1917, so right during World War I. So there you go.
Okay, well, see, that makes sense then, because like there's shortages of things during war because manufacturers are off fighting wars,
or making them all for the
or
troops,
making them so they're like the whole steel or what metal shortages during World War II. Like,
I'm glad we survived this one, because oftentimes it can be a lot worse. We all know where we were during the great canvas shortage of 2018.
During World War I, didn't they ride the canvas into battle?
Well, I think so. So.
Yeah, that also was a reason for it.
Right. Well, because you couldn't shear the canvas because we had to use them to get over the mountains.
So they needed their.
Well, yeah, they're remarkably good at cold weather. So.
What would that be like?
What I want, if there's anybody watching this cast who has artistic skill, I want you to draw us a canvas. Or a herd of canvas.
Like, if you're going to get into a land war with Russia in the middle of winter, you want a flock of canvas. That's what you want. All right, so my bomb doesn't really matter at this point. It's been just ridiculous. I'm going to give an A-bomb to Path of Exile. The PlayStation 4 version is being delayed until late January, early February. It was supposed to release later this month, so now you got an extra month and a half, 2 months to wait for it if you wanted to play it on the PS4. But I think it's being delayed ultimately for good reasons, so I think we'll end up with a better product. Just an A-bomb for it being delayed. From the viewers, Elusive X Treasure says, "Dub-bomb and also A-bomb to Blue Mage coming to Final Fantasy XIV. Why the dub-bomb? Because Blue is awesome in every incarnation. Why the A-bomb? Because I can never stick with Final Fantasy for long, but the hubby stated a long time ago that if they ever brought out Blue, we had to go back. Of course, I said the same about Chemist, but that's not going to happen. Right? We don't know. A lot of people didn't think Blue Mage was going. And to be fair, Elusive, you're playing the game the way most people do, and the way Yoshi P said he wanted that game to work. Hey, come on back, play all the content. Then if you have to go away for a little while because you want to play something else, he didn't want you to feel like you couldn't come back. So you're doing all right there. Now, where I think maybe you and the hubby want to look at it some more is Blue Mage. I don't know how much you read about it, but, it's not going to be... you're not going to roll into a raid as a Blue Mage. It's its own separate thing because of how hard it would be to integrate. It really wouldn't make sense. So why not do it with... They said it's the first ever limited class. So why couldn't we now have chemists and things like that? Q, go ahead.
Hijack Sky Shadow, a bomb to my luck in life. This is not a joke. On 26 November, on my way home on foot, I got hit by what? I got hit by 5. It says 5 cars on the crosswalk by people who just got their driver's license. Not hard enough to do any real damage, so it's fine. The only things that hurt were my left leg. The only things that hurt were my left leg, my ass, and my pride. If this was D&D, I rolled a natural 1 in luck and a perfect 20 in defense. God wants to torture me, but not kill me. 5.
Holy hell.
Hit by 5 cars in a crosswalk.
I don't know.
Was you like running across the crosswalk trying to get in front of them as they eat cake?
Did you ever see the movie Pure Luck? I mean, it's an older movie, Martin Short. That reminds me of that. If you haven't seen it, God, Hydrex, well, we're glad you're okay. Take the bus home from now on. Jason, go ahead.
Jack Bandit says, games that don't feel right, Destiny 1 and 2.
Yep, pretty much. Jay says the fact that you know what types of cards you're getting, talking about when you buy a Magic the Gathering pack on our topic last week, you're going to get, doesn't exempt Magic the Gathering. Are you still not gambling on getting the specific card you want or need? All right, and my counterpoint to this is, if you are buying Magic the Gathering packs or any trading card game because you are looking for a specific card, you are absolutely doing it wrong, and you are absolutely going to spend way more money than you ever need to. Just go to the secondary market, which further proves the point that if you are buying loot boxes for a specific item, that company should just be offering you the ability to buy that item, or there should be a secondary market, even if it's in-game, for you to sell and trade those items. Then the two would be exactly comparable. Because you lack that ability in most games, loot boxes become more gambling by the legal definition of gambling than something like a Magic the Gathering card. For those of you that don't know, by the way, I didn't pull this up specifically for this, the United States version definition of gambling, legal definition. You may change personally, and that's fine. A person engages in gambling if he or she stakes or risks something of value, cash dollars in this case of loot boxes, on the outcome of a contest or chance or a future contingent event not under your control or influence, upon an agreement or understanding that he or she or someone else will receive something of value in the event of a certain outcome, aka a loot box. Gambling does not include bona fide business transactions valid under the law of contracts, such as purchase or sale of a future date, securities, commodities, that types of things. That's the key word there, though, Jason. Most people say, okay, it is gambling, and then the proponents of loot boxes say, well, it isn't gambling because you aren't guaranteed something of value at the end of it. So it goes both ways. But the bit different between buying a pack of cards. Go ahead, Q.
Fran Bunny, Final Fantasy XII. If WildStar had come out just after Warlords of Draenor or in or around 2010, it would have blown up.
I don't know if I agree with that. I love Fran Bunny's name, though.
Yes.
I think WildStar had to come out a little before that. Go ahead, Jason.
Interesting that the person named Fran Bunny likes the game with the bunny ears. The character's bunny ears.
Hey,
so.
imagine that.
Yeah. William Hoon says, the bomb. All right. The bomb for you guys. I love your show.
Thank you.
We get the bomb.
Thanks,
you. William.
Not just the bomb. The bomb.
Do we need the chart again? Does this guy need the chart?
Omega.
No. I think the bomb is just higher up than the bomb.
Omega Contagion says, I don't know much about the history of World of Warcraft. I played in early days, but I have a question about what you guys talked about in last week's show. You said WildStar went back and did something that other games stopped doing, and Carbine thought it would do great. What thing did WildStar do that WoW stopped doing? They're both tab-target MMO games. What did WoW stop doing that WildStar kept doing? If anyone can fill me in, that'd be great. Just curious. The key was for the WildStar kept in that WoW had abandoned by that time. time was that more hardcore raid aspect of the game for endgame. Particularly of note here are 40-man raids, which were gone from WoW, but WildStar put back in, and things like attunement for said raids, long, repetitive, grindy quest chains to even gain access to the raids, something WoW had also long ago abandoned before WildStar came out. Q, go ahead.
It should also be noted that actually Carbine basically sold or promoted the game based around those raids.
Yes.
Like that was their selling point. We're bringing back the hardcore with the 40-man raids. So, Ashfall. So I think Q is a little confused about what people do in Path of Exile. The shop, quotation marks, I think she's referring to as PoE.trade, which is a site people use pretty much trade like an auction house for an in-game currency, not real-life money. We use the site because trade chat in game is pretty bad. So no, I'm not talking about that one. I'm actually talking about, and I have seen people make money off of the other sites. Like I said, it's one of those things that is discouraged, but I don't think they necessarily go after people for it. And I've honestly seen back when B was watching a lot more PoE streamers, I saw a lot of the streamers kind of hinting around at those particular sites as well.
Yeah, I will say, Q, that it wasn't very hard for me to type in just a few words in Google and find what I think. I'm not going to say the site's name, obviously, because it is a violation of terms of use for the game and everything, but apparently I am, by this Google search, able to sell PoE items for real-world money.
Yeah, and very easily. And the other thing is on the in-game trading, there's actually, if you buy the extra tabs, there's a way to set it up to where you don't really have to do much and you just go into your tabs and set everything up in there, and then people can just go in and say, I want this from this tab that you put for this much. And they just send you.
Look at Q passing out the pro trading tips inside Path of Exile.
You should have you do you should have you and the other guy do some Path of Exile, do the previews instead of me.
Go ahead, Jason. Finish it off.
Because of B, so.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Arcona says real-world value is what determines if something is gambling, although that's sort of what the description you said was. People with gambling addiction are addicted to the process, not the result. Yeah, but the result helps.
Yeah, Harkonis, I absolutely agree with your second part. People with gambling addiction, that is more the process, the high of it. But real-world value is exactly what legally determines if something is or is not gambling. At least according to the United States law. I don't know, if you're in another country, laws vary. Question of the week last week. So what do you think Wargaming and Edge Case Games have up their sleeve? They said it was an MMO that isn't too dissimilar to existing Wargaming products, so what could it be, or what do you hope it will be? Nasagra says, question of the week, what I want it to be, tanks in space! Just because I like saying in space!
Or more specifically, like making Mike say in space.
Plus, I find the mental image of tanks tumbling around in zero gravity and having to use their guns as propulsion amusing. What it will actually be, World of Tanks Battle Royale. I'm also on the old games train from episode 282, playing OSRS again and going for that quest cape. Good luck, Nasagra. Go ahead, Q.
Kickers. I honestly believe that Edge Case Games will be working with Wargaming to possibly make a full attempt of a full version of a Battle Royale. Everybody's on Battle Royale style tank game, since Edge Case has worked with vehicular active abilities more than Wargaming has with their April Fool's game modes.
2 out of 2 so far. Jason.
I'm just going to say, I don't think it's going to be a Battle Royale. Why do they need someone else for that? Like, they could just make a Battle Royale game, stick a bunch of tanks. You already have friendly fire, so, I mean, I don't think it would really require much. So, anyway. Hedrick Sky Shadow says, okay, I don't think they'll be making another Space War simulator, at least not with huge ships. Who knows, maybe they'll be doing something similar to the space battles from Battlefront. Or maybe they will just go with a sci-fi ground combat, maybe something similar to MechWarrior Online, or maybe similar to Crossout or 2 Robocraft.
Lots of options from Hydrex there. Finishing it up, B Short says it's going to be the first officially licensed U.S. Space Force game. Of course.
No, Space Force is out. They're not doing it now.
It's just not doing it. Question of the week. So, it is Thursday, December 6th. As we're recording this, you'll be watching it after the fact. So, I want to know, did you watch the 2018 Video Game Awards? And if so, what was your take on the show? If you didn't watch it, why'd you skip it? Let us know in the comments below. While you're there, make sure you give us your weekly bombs. D-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad, or your question for anybody on the panel. Until then, Q, where can everybody find you?
Hanging out on Twitter at Quitland.
Jason.
On the Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at magicman1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet at you all the news, articles, previews, editorials, first look videos, free-to-play casts, free-to-play weekly giveaways, and more right to your Twitter feed. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you out on the servers.